Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm back from a long vacation and I got sick while I was away. It's been a very weird period, but I'm glad to be back and I'm home for a few weeks. And I'm Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology everywhere. You can find me, or my website is louiseeddington.com. And I have just kind of opened the doors, as they say, or open registration for my newly redesigned membership portal. And if you're interested, I am offering a discount to the first few people who register if they donate to the Utah Food Bank, because I am doing a 10K run on Thanksgiving for the food bank, because we all know that SNAP benefits are being fought and people are getting really hungry. So, so I thought I'd try and make it a win-win for everybody. So if you're interested, drop me an email, louise@louiseeddington.com, just to find out full details. Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Biehl. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian. My Patreon is patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, which I mention because I have a standalone article. You don't have to join the Patreon to get it. You can buy it, called Riding the Currents, that gives the timetables for all of the water energy that we're dealing with until the middle of December or early December, and navigational tips. So there's a link in the description box of my video for that. Also, uh, I have a group of people that have been looking at the chart of the UK royal family a lot over the years, and we're going to do it again on Thursday, the 21st in the evening. And I'm opening up to people who are not part of our little group. So there is a link for that also in the description box, because one of them is in the news quite a bit these days. So.
And they're always really good calls. That's kind of how we really first connected, isn't it?
Um,
Yeah,
that
I
and
think.
Astrology Hub.
Well,
I picked, yeah,
yeah,
but still, at any rate.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's fun. And I want to shout out as well that I will be doing a presentation for Kepler College, which has a huge audience, on December the 13th about Ceres, which I wrote my book about. And I've got a really fantastic example of the power of Ceres in the collective for climate change. So if you want to know more about Ceres' role, Kepler College do great present webinars and things. So I'm really honoured to be asked to present for them. So check Kepler College out for that.
Excellent.
Cool. All righty. News first.
All
Roundup, or
right.
news that's playing out what we've talked about.
All right. Now, again, this is not definitive. It's exhausting, but not exhaustive. And the astrology that we've been talking about and that I detailed quite a bit last week in my solo video has a lot to do about with secrets, corruption, scandal, investigations, all being supersized, and many of them affecting food and safety and leaders and waters. Okay, so Venus square Jupiter in conjunct Saturn is completely over the big battle going on with SNAP benefits, which have gone from two courts ordering the release of the SNAP payments when Jupiter squared Venus squared Jupiter, and follow-up orders, and the Treasury saying that it would release the funds on the Taurus full moon, Taurus being ruled by Venus. And then with Mars opposite Gemini, the president said, nope, not going to do it. Then Caroline Levitt said, yes, he will. And now that Venus is at the receiving end of a finger of God, with her in Scorpio, a judge ordered funding by today, Friday, and they're appealing that order. Let that sink in. Also involving money on the Venus Jupiter square, the Federal Reserve quietly released, um, well, on the 31st, they released more than $50 billion, and on the evening of the first, 29.4 into the banking system. So something's about to break in the banking system. While this was all going on, while Venus was squaring Jupiter in conjunct Saturn, Trump held a great Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago, a little party never killed nobody, wait and see, and revealed that he has redone the Lincoln bathroom with marble. It's playing out the astrology, okay? Um, A federal judge has barred him from requiring proof of citizenship in federal voter registration forms. Also, following with the Venus square Jupiter in conjunction Saturn, New Mexico became the first state to offer families, regardless of their income, state vouchers to cover public and private child care fees. Okay, while this was going on, Mars, how we push ourselves forward, the military, trine Neptune, deception, many things, waters, whatever. CBS aired a highly edited interview with Trump, who claims to not know a crypto criminal that he pardoned. I am so sorry. I turned this off. God damn it. Um, I turned off notifications and it went on. Anyway, Jack Smith
I couldn't
responded.
hear a thing.
Oh, good. Jack Smith responded to a House subpoena threat by saying he will make all evidence against Trump public. And the 11th Circuit has ordered Aileen Cannon to go ahead and release the second report that Smith pulled together about the documents case. And a book is being released. Actually, I think it was released on the 4th by Penguin Press. Injustice, How Politics and Fear Vanquished America's Justice Department. An excerpt has been released about the Mar-a-Lago document seizure, about the hundreds of pages of top secrets documents, gravely serious material, some of which was at a level that Olson, the attorney in charge of looking at them, did not have the clearance to look at them.
Whoa.
More to come on that. Trump fired the watchdog for the Federal Housing Agency, which had been targeting Trump's enemies after the watchdog tried to tell Congress that the agency has been stonewalling investigations. In the same vein, the director of the FBI fired a 27-year FBI veteran whose job was overseeing aviation after he called out Patel's use of a government plane to visit his girlfriend. Teen Vogue, which has done just mind-blowing political reporting in recent years, is closing. And this is
Oh,
closing its political reporting and analysis. Yeah, okay. It's been revealed that multiple cabinet members are living at no cost in military housing. Since we last talked, it's been floated that we might have military action against Mexico, against Nigeria, more to Venezuela, and a bipartisan measure to invoke the War Powers Act to stop the bombings involving Venezuela failed. So
mm.
unfettered, unfettered. Military personnel in Germany are being told to go to German food banks if they don't have enough to eat. Um, the
I miss
Mars
some of
Uranus,
these.
I know, the Mars Uranus opposition happened on election day. More about election day in a second. There were bomb threats and power outages at polling stations. A UPS plane crashed in Kentucky.
Mm.
That plays that out. Okay, on the Venus T, there was a T square, a challenging, pressuring aspect on election day between Venus in Libra and the moon in Aries, pressuring Jupiter in Cancer, which is a kind of an echo of what happened on October 18, the No King's March day, and we saw record breaking election figures. Women
Mm.
won all over the country. Dems won all over the country. Every single Trump endorsed candidate lost. Women took positions they never have. I think there's a female black mayor of Detroit. There's a multiple states anyway.
Mm.
Um,
It was just at
and
all levels, wasn't it? Attorney
all levels,
generals, everything, everything. Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
um, so there was the election in New York City for the mayor, and the mayor-elect, Mamdani, has appointed an all-female transition team,
Has he?
including including E. Jean Carroll. Watch this
Ooh.
space. That's the woman who holds the huge defamation order against you know who. On the full moon, SCOTUS heard arguments on the tariffs, which has to do with big money, so that's important. Since then, there has been Venus has moved into Scorpio, also a money sign, secret sign,
Mm.
and it's been at the receiving end of a finger of destiny, and A federal jury found a man not guilty of assault for throwing a sandwich at ICE. I'm sorry. You have to laugh at some
I
of these things.
know. I
And
did
there was
see that
lying.
one.
There was lying in the testimony because the officer said the sandwich exploded all over him. They showed footage and it was wrapped and it hit the ground. Lying, okay, Scorpio. On this, on this date, Nancy Pelosi announced that she will not run again. She has held a historic 20 terms in the House of Representatives, and she was the first woman Speaker of the House. Um, Washington Post reported that the Congressional Budget Office, Venus and Scorpio, was believed to be hacked by a foreign actor, and that communications between lawmakers' offices and nonpartisan researchers could have been accessed by this adversary, as well as internal email and office chat logs. Last week, Trump said we're going to start nuclear tests again, so no surprise this week. Putin has ordered plans to resume nuclear tests. Um, some ice news. Chicago and Illinois, a lot of stuff has happened. ICE has been slammed for obviously unconstitutional treatment of detainees at a facility, and a judge has ordered 15 fixes at a Chicago facility. In a different case, a judge who had enjoined ICE from using certain riot tactics without notice, and banning tear gas and pepper spray against anyone who isn't a obvious threat. It continued, and she caught the man in charge of the operations there in lies. So that injunction has gone back in. But on the other end of things, the Department of Justice has fired dozens of immigration judges who have an immigration defense background and has replaced them with judges from the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, or military backgrounds. Few more things. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals has revived Trump's attack on his felony conviction in New York State. They sent it back for another look at, for the trial court to reconsider whether it should be moved to federal court to examine the impact of SCOTUS's immunity decision. And I'll just point out that that decision is limited to official acts, and most of the evidence in that case occurred before he was sworn in. And you explained to me how signing a check for a payoff is an official act. Anyway, why I don't practice law anymore. Venus in Scorpio at the end of that, at the receiving end of that yod. IRS has canceled its free direct file system. As Mercury is moving into its retrograde station, and Mercury is in Sagittarius, which is long distance travel. Capacity starting today, capacity is to be reduced by 10% at 40 major airports due to the shutdown. Thousands of flights have been canceled a day, and there's talk of more uh, air traffic controllers actually walking off the job. And so, two things I want to leave you with. There is a Remove the Regime rally announced for November 22nd in DC, and then Mercury retrograde makes the second of three grand water trines connecting Jupiter and Saturn. Look for information about that. And also, two resources that I mentioned last week that I'd like to suggest to you for keeping a handle on this and understanding what's going on. One of them is an attorney named Ann P. Mitchell. That's ANNE. You can follow her on Facebook. She also has a Substack. She explains the impact of all of the federal court decisions in a way that non-lawyers can understand it. And there's a lawyer named Rubia Garcia 2, Rubia, on Facebook, who has 24 news items in 24 hours every single day. And she rides herd on the news really well.
Cool. And Mitchell blocked me.
Drop me as a friend, but whatever.
Yeah. She's a little bit spicy. But anyway, I'm not going to share the chart all the way through this time because Kathy went over a load of aspects last week. We both do kind of week ahead forecasts, and we've covered them most of the time. So I'm just going to talk about them and just show the new moon chart at the end because that's where we're kind of going up to with the transits. But so the big highlights are that Venus entered Scorpio yesterday and is squaring Pluto today, Pluto being the modern ruler of Scorpio. I have Venus in Scorpio. Don't let anybody tell you it's in detriment. It's fine. But I think there could be more coming up from Epstein files and about money and things with that. But anyway,
Big.
also, yeah, your Uranus into back into Taurus today until April the 25th. This whole period, right through our winter in the Northern Hemisphere now, has several things that are kind of going backwards or into the underworld, including Venus and things, but I'll talk about that in the future because we're not quite there yet. Then Mercury stations retrograde at 6 Sagittarius. I didn't write the day down, but it's like ninth.
On the 9th, Sunday.
Yeah, on the 9th. Then Jupiter stations retrograde on November the 11th at 25 degrees Cancer. And he's still making that water grand trine on and off that we keep talking about, that you'll see in the chart at the end.
May
Then
I
Mercury,
add a comment here? So with Uranus moving back into territory for the last time in our
mm,
lives, or for most of us, unless you're
mm,
really young, youngsters will get to agree to live through this again, but some of us are done
mm,
with it. Uh, Bringing instability and a new look at things having to do with money, mostly, or tangible stuff. And then Mercury stationing retrograde and Jupiter stationing retrograde over the
mm.
weekend into early next week. There could be a sensation of all kinds of stuff that you didn't realize maybe wasn't finished, especially on the bigger scene, just kind of hanging in the air. So the sense of
Mm.
being inundated could be actually greater.
Oh yeah, the station points are usually the most powerful parts of a retrograde. I don't really sweat, Mercury retrogrades, but the days around those bits can be a little, oh, and two at the same time. Oh, that's big. But then as well, as Mercury is just stationed retrograde and Jupiter stationed retrograde, Mercury conjunction Mars at Mars again on November the 12th, and repeating the conjunction from October the 20th at 18 Scorpio. And then November the 15th, Vesta, one of my asteroids that I use, moves into Capricorn. But if you remember, I've talked about Vesta as being kind of the flame of the state, of the heart of the state. Capricorn being the sign of institutions and man-made rules and things. Watch that space because she makes several aspects. Then on November the 16th, Mercury trines Ceres. Ceres, the great mother, but also what feeds us, what nurtures us, like food, you know. And that Mercury will trine Ceres at 2 Sagittarius Aries. But that's important because Ceres is stationing direct at 2 Aries, and that's the current degree of the current Venus star point that I work with from March the 22nd. We keep going back to March, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over and over. And then that water grand trine really kicks in again as the Sun trines Jupiter and Saturn both on November the 17th at 25 degrees. And Saturn is staying at that degree until about the end of December. We didn't look at the exact date, but quite a while. And it's a really potent, that 25 degrees, because Jupiter station retrograde at 2509 Cancer, and Saturn will station direct at 2509 Pisces. That's real tide turning, tidal wave kind of energy, it feels like to me. Yeah. Anyway, and then Mercury re-enters Scorpio on November the 18th, and then the water grand trine really kicks off. And Mercury, because Scorpio's the other water sign, and Mercury opposes Uranus and trines Neptune exactly on November the 19th at 29 degrees. And then we have the big new moon. So I'll share the chart for that, and you'll be able to just see most of the other degrees. This is for those who, like me, are more visual and like to see the chart. So we have the new moon on the 20th and a Mercury cazimi, and it's opposing Uranus and aspecting Neptune, and we have the water grand trine aspected. So really that's bringing in the 25 to 29 degree span of the water signs, in my opinion, because they're so close and these are big energies. So, that whole area between those degrees, particularly of water and earth signs, is huge. I think we finished. Have we finished hurricane season? But we had another big typhoon, didn't we, out in the east?
Yeah, no, I don't
Anyway,
think it's over.
but I wouldn't be surprised if there's more big storms, because that was active with Hurricane Melissa. So just saying. So, but that's not political, so I won't mention any more. But you can just see how potent, and the thicker the lines, the stronger the aspects. That new moon is going to be a doozy. And with Mercury conjunct, maybe some names being released, or some files being released, or hidden secret money dealings being released, and all kinds of things. It's going to be interesting, and some of it will be shocking, I think, to any.
We, we always
Mm,
point out that when there's a grand trine, when there's this round robin flow of energy, you
mm,
look to see if there is a point in the middle anywhere that is a kind of a grounding point. And in this case, it's it's an awakening,
mhm,
liberation, disruption, shocking
mhm,
stuff
mhm,
involving money. It's in the ninth house, which is foreign countries, the government, uh, the media, all of those fit. So, what is going to bring all this
mhm,
water into us, into our lives, into the media is going to be very, very stunning, shocking, and it may have some tie back to when Uranus was at 29 Taurus at the very beginning of July and at the end of June, which is when it was there. And it's
mhm.
finishing up its, what, 8 years, 7 years in the
It's
sign of
about seven
Taurus.
or 8 years, yeah. But also, I think it's so close, and Uranus will station direct at 27 Taurus. And because it's that span of degrees, I hark back to when, and we've just had a Mars Uranus opposition. I hark back to when Mars and Uranus and Algol, fixed star Algol, were conjunct on July the 14th, 2024, which kind of was the shot, apparently, of the year, and also kind of hit Biden's chart, and he ended up dropping out after that because both their charts were impacted. Just kind of saying, because I really, the way I see it, I know you're always more exact on the transits, but when I see this many lining up within about 4 degrees, I think it's all one big thing that's going to keep
Oh,
happening, right?
oh,
But
good.
yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
all I wanted to say. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I also want to remind people, because when we hear shocks and things, some of it from our perspective will be good. It depends on your perspective. Some people will be shocked and it won't be good for them, and some people will be shocked and go, "Oh, that's a good shock." So,
Yeah,
Uranus.
there'll be also a calibration or a lot of emphasis on what our agreements are because
Mm,
uh, that thing that looks like a flower down at the bottom of the chart
hmm
is Juno, and it is in the receiving end of pressure from the nodes. It's at the bottom of a
hmm
T square from the nodes, and that's been
and
and Nessus. Oh, and
yeah,
ooh,
and Venus and Juno are in a semi-sextile, both aspecting the nodes. So yeah, that's gonna
so there
be
could be a lot of communication about deals,
deals,
agreements,
contracts, women.
contracts, mm,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
marriages.
Yes. We're not looking at that today then. So
No.
whose chart shall we look at first? The man of the moment?
Yeah, let's look at the chart that has shocked so many things. So this is a highly controversial person, all right? I'm
Mm.
I the my feed is all over the map about this, but
Oh.
I want to personally start with this man embodies he's the living embodiment and a living vehicle for the unusual,
Mm,
unprecedented outer planet energies we've been experiencing.
mhm. And he is a democratic socialist, not a socialist. So I'm wearing my Bernie shirt, one of them, one of my many, in honor of him. And for those who have fear of um, Islam, basically, I'm going to be quite blunt about it. I have a Muslim friend, and I've also looked this up about where he was born and what kind of branch of Islam he's in. He's as far a Muslim that he's almost not a Muslim, if you know what I mean. If you look into it, he is so not a fundamentalist Muslim at all. And not that, but he is just isn't. So, I'm just like so fed up of some of the things that are being said. So, anyway, and everybody that's met him says he's a good person, and he created this big army of volunteers that just support what he wants to do for the people. So, can I just mention the first thing that just you
Please.
can't ignore? His Saturn is at 0 Aquarius, and it's, right conjunct his descendant, and it's opposing his ascendant, and 0 Aquarius is a hot degree. That's where we've had the Jupiter Saturn conjunction, the so-called Great Mutation. We've had several significant aspects at 0 Aquarius. It's huge, and he is kind of, to my mind, kind of the mastery of that degree with that on there, especially because it's on his angles. He is kind of like his ideas and what he wants to build are the future. So that's, you can't, because Aquarius is the sign of the future, and the people and humanitarianism and all kinds of things. Mhm.
And there's a collective, uh, a message for the collective or a
Mhm.
perspective for collective experience in a
Mhm.
lot of what he's been saying. And Pluto's been moving back and forth over that Saturn in the
Mhm.
last couple of years, and he's come out of the shadows.
Yep. Yep. But
And
also, I actually, there was actually an astrologer. I can't remember her name. Oh, she was on Twitter, but I don't go there anymore much. Anyway, she said Saturn actually also represents black people because she was a black woman, and she said she'd found Saturn to often represent prominent black people. So there you go. Is that too?
well, if you look in this chart, he's got a natal T square from well, his nodes and Saturn make a
Oh,
T
and
square
this. Mm-hmm.
to his Mars Mercury palace down there in the third house, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a very effective communicator.
Oh,
And
oh.
part of the ads that he put out were almost like courting New Yorkers. He had like a Valentine style ad. He had an ad where he offered them the rose, like in The Bachelor. That's very like courting, seducing people.
Mm, yeah, he's got various squares and oppositions going on. I'll ignore that one. But anyway, yeah, he's got a powerful chart, and I because I've been away, I didn't hear a lot of his talks, but I heard his some of his debate with Cuomo, and I thought he was really good. Yeah.
So can you put
Mm,
the full moon around
yeah.
him?
Hang on, let me just get my arrow back on. The full
So
moon. Yeah.
full moon. So
Yeah.
I will repeat, his entire transition team is female,
Yeah.
which is interesting given the full moon. Also, the full
Hmm.
moon was in his career house up
Hmm.
there at the top of the full moon. And I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce her name right, Julia Simus, or Simus of
I think it's
yeah,
Simus.
Simus
Yeah.
of
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
Cosmic Intelligence Agency figured out, and I confirmed this, his progressed moon is at 13 Taurus. So this is a
I can actually show that. Subsidiary chart, progressed moon right now. Well, it was at 13. On the probably on the election. This is today.
Yeah,
So
on the
his
election it was.
progress, yeah, his progressed moon is there. And also, though, I did notice because I looked at his progressions that his progressed moon then aspected, oh, it would have aspected his North Node as well at the same time, which is
Hmm.
his kind of potential, what he's moving towards, and his Neptune, which kind of explains kind of his charisma a little bit, I think, as well, with the progression. Progressions can show up kind of, you know, strongly like that. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but it was a good call, her noticing that, because that was very powerful for his election, I think. Yeah. I'll take them off now. We can put them back on if we want to. But
Right.
so, yeah. And
So
of course, sorry.
notice
And of
that.
course, you
Go
said
ahead.
you said that, you know, his transition team, I had not realized they were all women, and he has Venus in Libra, which is opposing, well, has just opposed Eris and Chiron, which is very healing and shake up and bringing in the outsiders and the marginalized. So there you go.
And Mars and Sagittarius in the fourth house, opposing Uranus
Mm,
in Gemini in the 10th house. His acceptance speech was about New York being the city of immigrants, built by immigrants. And he just used the word immigrants, I think, 4 times.
mm,
Um, and now being led by an immigrant. I think that's how where he ended it,
mm,
because he is a naturalized citizen.
mhm.
Um, Other things,
But
so that,
also to go back to his Saturn, that was out aspecting his Saturn as well. The Mars opposition to Uranus.
opening
His
an
yeah,
opening an
hmm
opportunity.
yeah, hmm yeah, fabulous aspects for him, you know, and yeah, we can look at just his chart if you like to give a bit of a flavour of who he is or whatever you want to
Well,
do. Yeah.
the what I had said to introduce it is that he
Mm,
embodies the energy we've been uh,
mm,
living through, because so this summer crystallized uh, a trine, the current between the two change agents, Uranus and Pluto, with
mm.
uh, Saturn and Neptune in Aries in the middle of them, and that and
I'll just kind of show the vagueness of, you know, without moving the chart, just to show what you're talking about. This mini grand trine we've got developing, right? Is that what you're talking about?
well, we had it this summer, and it
Yeah.
and his chart ties into it,
Hmm.
because it also, and because he's got the um, Leo, the Leo bit,
Zero,
the
zero,
Leo
zero
ascendant.
Leo ascendant. He's got a
There we
zero
go.
Leo ascendant.
Thank you. And
And
that is
yeah, yeah. And this
that's going
grand
to
trine is
trine
going to
things.
keep, but it's going to keep activating as well, isn't it? These three outer planet aspects. So yeah, it's
Right. At the end of February, Saturn and
mhm,
Neptune will be back in the connection to um, Pluto. They'll be in, and they will be trining his ascendant. And
mhm,
then later in the year, when Uranus goes back into Gemini, it's going to be hitting this off again. And this is all very technical, but it's a way of saying he is a vehicle for
mm,
this new and unprecedented experience of fire and air energies, of
mhm.
passion and communication.
So
And
this is the Saturn Neptune conjunction that Kathy just mentioned, and so it's, you know, it's trine his ascendant, it's sextile his Saturn, you know, it's yeah, and his the angles, the ascendant, the descendant, the midheaven, the IC are really important and potent points. But look where Pluto will be at that point, square his midheaven and IC as well. So next February. So, but this is going to keep on going, right? Isn't it, Kathy? That, you know,
oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Um, do you have the New York City Unification chart?
I do.
Okay, because I found that fascinating. We don't have to look at that in great detail,
Mm,
but I put his chart
so,
around the chart for the morning that all of the boroughs combined, which was right after midnight,
Bear with me a
when a
second.
lot of things.
I did create it. It's gone off my recent list, but I can find it very quickly. So you just talk about it first, if
All right,
that's
so
all right.
there's this. I have a looked at a chart for when all of the boroughs became New York City, when they all joined
Mm,
together at the end of the 19th century. And his chart um,
I think I've
completely
lost it.
completely rewrites the basis. Do you need the date?
Yep, I shall just put it in again quickly. So it was
And it's
January the
second.
1st.
It
Can find.
is. Hold on a second. Uh, no. New York City Unification, January 1st, 1898, 12:01 a.m., New York, New York.
Yeah.
It has 9 degrees Libra rising. So that means his sun is in the first house. But more importantly, his,
Do you want that on the inside or?
yeah.
Yeah. So the in the middle is the unification of New York City, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so look at the bottom of
And
the
then
chart.
this is his chart on the outside, just to show
So
everybody where we're at. Oh
his
yes.
Uranus is on New York City's sun. It's
Mm.
on New York City's IC, the whole basis of everything, and his north. So his north node, Uranus north node, and his idealistic vision of how things can
Hmm.
be are directly on shaking up, blowing up New York's concept of what it is.
Wow. And his nodes are square the Saturn of New York too.
He's
So
declared war on the oligarchies,
he
oligarchs.
has. Yeah, good. Yeah.
So his purpose with that north node there is to completely disrupt the way things have been.
Mm. And to make things more affordable to live in New York. That's
Well,
what he's.
there's
Mhm.
an ideological and very practical
There is.
component to this with the North
Mhm.
Node and Neptune together.
And his actual plans have been instituted in other places. It's not socialism at all. It's really
Well,
just restructuring things to make things more affordable for people that live in New York.
there was one other. Oh, come on. Is one other thing that I wrote down and I'm not
Mm.
seeing it. Where I'm sorry to have dead time here. Sorry, sorry, sorry,
It's
folks.
okay.
Where are Venus, Mars, in New York's chart? Why am I
Um,
not seeing them?
there's
Oh,
Mars and there's Venus. Oh, and
okay.
Pluto's coming up to
Okay, so
that,
it's
but
how
his Saturn is really conjunct that Venus, right?
right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Was that not what you've seen? No.
No, but what I wrote down is apparently not here, so we're just going to ignore my
Mm.
thinking. His Mercury squares uh New York's Venus tightly.
Mm.
So,
Yes.
and it has to do
Yes,
with
it does.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, it does very tightly. Yeah, and he's sorry, New York, not him, was
Yeah.
actually born with Venus retrograde, with which is really rare. So that's he makes that even more potent. It's the rarest retrograde to be born with. So, which is significant if we look at when he's going to be inaugurated, because there's actually a Venus Sun conjunction that day. Do you want to put him in the middle and look
Yes,
at
would you
that?
put that one
Or
up?
I hope I haven't lost that one too. No, I have not. So he's going to be inaugurated on January the 1st, 2026, or sworn in at 12:01 a.m. in New York, New York. And what I was talking about is that Venus and the Sun are conjunct shortly before that, but it's still, you know, close enough. It's conjunct Pholus Centaur, which is kind of taking the lid off, kind of revealing, a lot of um, things that are wrong, basically. Kind of, it's like taking an inventory, all in Capricorn. in uh, the man-made rules, the structures, the laws, how they work, how they support us, or how they don't, and all of that is on his Uranus. Whoa. And Mars is there on his North Node. He's going to go in and start taking action, I think. Do you think so with that?
Yeah, and I also think there will be attacks on him.
Oh,
Uh,
that's possible too. Hmm.
yeah, it'll go both
Well, well,
both
I
ways.
mean,
And
is
notice,
that surprising? They're already there, but there could be more.
well,
Yeah. Hmm.
look at the Venus. Okay, the inauguration Venus at 9
Hmm.
Capricorn is trine his Venus. He has
Hmm.
Jupiter, Venus, and Virgo in the second house. Very practical. Here's a better
Hmm.
way to do it. Values.
Hmm. Yeah, but he's shown that he's got the support. He won overwhelmingly. Interestingly, the South Node by transit will be on his, or just about to be on his Venus and Jupiter as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of he's, I often see these people as players in the big collective thing. It's kind of his purpose to do what he's doing, I think right now. And he's the right man for this moment, because we know that the system is not supporting people at all. So he's one of the people that wants to change things. You might not agree with everything of how he does it, but at least he wants to change it. So, and take on kind of this big inequality gap.
Well,
So,
look at that Eris. He has Eris in your table tipper in the
mm-hmm,
ninth house, which legislation, it's politics, it's policy, but it's
mm-hmm,
also foreign governments. And
mm-hmm,
I have there's noise about Israel moving its embassy out of New York City
mm-hmm,
because of things he said about Netanyahu and the country.
mm-hmm.
Um, so,
Oh
and
well.
that's well,
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
no, no.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a source of anxiety and fear among some
Hmm.
people I know
It is,
that
I know.
that
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
unleashing, whether he is going to be the source of
Mm.
anti-Semitism, that it's unleashing anti-Semitism.
Mm.
That's a
Mm.
hell of a city to have that happening in, given what its
Oh,
population makeup is.
oh, I know. We had an interesting bus trailing round us when we were in New York City. Um, that was playing very loud music. Uh, but it was the Hasidim were running the bus. That was interesting. So yeah, it's going to be a bit volatile for sure. But anyway, that's about his kind of views. Uh,
Would you put the full moon chart back up? Because I just noticed
mm,
something in my notes that I did not catch looking, but I'm
yeah.
seeing it now. And that is,
So the which
yeah, that's one,
the one
November,
we've just had. Yeah.
the one
Mhm.
we've just had.
I'm just going back to it. It was this way. There we go. Yeah.
All right, what I want to point out, okay, so Uranus is at 0, um, Gemini in the 10th house, and
Aspecting all his zero stuff for a start, but
oh,
yeah.
wait a minute, my stuff isn't making any sense. I
And
have,
Mars was opposing. Yeah.
no, this must not be it. This must not be it, because there's what I have is a yod from Pluto and Neptune to Uranus in the 10th, and this is not happening from this. Does it happen when it goes back? I'm complicating things. Forget what
Mm.
I have just said. I did
It
not write
happens.
clear. I did not clearly write down. My notes are like, okay, clearly there was something saying there must be change. And
Mm.
you are the vehicle of change, and your position
Let's
in the world is going to change.
let's have a look at the new moon, see if that's activating anything that you saw. But maybe not. Maybe it was just mhm. But anyway, either way, with no matter if we find the exact aspect that Kathy saw, he's getting a lot of aspects and activations in his chart that, to my mind, always kind of see him as a man of the people. I think there's a lot of fear around what he's saying, and I can understand it from that certain group of people for sure. But look at that on his series, to bring my series back into it. In the house, in the fourth house, which is the base of things, the basis of security, what feeds us, what nurtures us. His intention is to make New York City work better for the people of New York. So no matter, so leaving all the other stuff behind, that's his intention, I think. Do you?
Oh, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he's a force, he's a factor. I'm not surprised
Mm-hmm.
he was elected,
Mm-hmm.
and
Me too.
we'll see. There's all kinds of talk about various things that might be done as a consequence of this, yanking funding for New York, sending ICE in. Stephen Miller made a very threatening statement right after he was elected, and there's there's noise about trying to get his citizenship revoked. So
Oh,
already, so we'll see.
I mean, I think people should remember that yes, it's an important and prominent position, but he's the mayor of a city. You know, he's like, anyway, yeah,
Okay.
I support him. That's all right. That's, I'm not afraid to say so. So, yeah, there we go. And was there anything else? I'm just
I
looking at
I
his
think this is
chart.
okay. Anything else to talk about?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I was just looking at some things on this about like out of bounds and things like that. But he's got very, well, he's rising. So I hate those tables where they say they break up the elements. I'm like, you didn't look at the rising sign. It says he's got little no fire. I'm like, he's Leo rising. What? Anyway, well, he is the man of the moment, though, no matter what you think of him. And the astrology shows why he's the man of the moment and why he attracted such a big army of volunteers. All the aunties were behind him, all these kind of people. That's all in his chart. So, yeah, that's the important thing that we're talking about, right?
So compare and contrast. We have in a few hours drive south of New York City, there is someone who is the embodiment of uh, old school take what you can, big money power, power for the few. Let's have a party with scantily clad girls dancing in cocktail glasses
Hmm.
while we're cutting benefits that we're legally obligated to pay for citizens. And then compare and contrast, there's somebody who's highly controversial because he wants government to actually
Work
function
for the
for
people.
the majority of the people instead of the wealthiest. So we've got
And that
it's a polarity. It's a polarity.
and that party cost the taxpayers a ton of money, by the way. So there you go. But I still think that perhaps if they could read, they should have read the end of the book where Gatsby got shot. So
And no one came to his funeral.
nope, there you go. All right. So as usual, there's so much going on. It's chaotic again, especially that kind of the two planets stationing at the same time. That's and that water grand trine break makes things really emotional. There's also kind of a lot of bugs going around, hence me. So, several people. So do yourself care. Take care of yourself, put your own oxygen mask on first, do things that are fun and joy, and then go and, you know, express your opinion somewhere or something. So, yeah. Anything from you, Kathy?
You know, celebrate the wins. Our view of
Mm,
reality was vindicated this week. I think a lot more
mm,
than that was vindicated. There are more people who actually care about their fellow citizens in this country. uh, so many different races had
Hmm.
Democrats taking in that they where they had never done it. I mean, there were seats in
Mm.
Mississippi that flipped, all kinds of places, and a lot of
Hmm.
extremism. I'm not just saying Democrats are the savior, but a lot of extremist positions got ousted. And
Yeah.
celebrate the wins. And if you're stopping and going, did these people just all come out of the woodwork, or my thinking, is this evidence that we were right about something last year? Maybe.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that's what I think. Although I nearly got in an argument with somebody over that last night. Okay, I'm
Oh,
not gonna fight with you about it. I can see how it's possible, and I'm not the only one who does. So,
no. And in some ways, it doesn't really matter
no,
at this point.
at this
So,
point, we're just soldiering
yeah,
through it,
yeah,
getting rid of
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, peace out. We'll see you next week. Bye.